Turin, Italy. Situated on the western bank of the Po River, this city of nearly 2 million people is an important international business hub. But overlooking this modern metropolis is Italy's most mysterious and infamous ancient site, Mount Musen. Rising to an elevation of nearly 4,000 feet, Mount Musen has stood at a unique crossroads of history and mysterious phenomenon.
This is a mountain where, over the years, almost to the beginning of recorded human history, strange things have been seen. Lights were seen. There has been all sorts of weirdness on this mountain.
Local legends passed down from ancient times tell about this mountain being home to werewolves and wizards. And in the 4th century AD, the Roman Emperor Constantine saw a cross floating in the sky over the mountain, which inspired him to convert the empire to Christianity.
This light phenomenon and unusual activity on Mount Musen has been going on for thousands of years and continues to this day.
In 1933, it's claimed that a UFO crashed in the Lombardy region of Italy. This was apparently an object around 50 feet in diameter, like two saucers joined together. It was described as being grayish in color and metallic, and apparently it was then taken by the military and studied on the personal orders of the then dictator Benito Mussolini.
According to some accounts, the UFO crashed near the city of Magenta, just 80 miles northeast of Mount Musen. For ancient astronaut theorists, the proximity to Mount Musen is no coincidence.
Let's just suppose that the common thread here is actually Earth energies, which the UFOs know about and use, perhaps, to draw the energy that they need. So might we be dealing with not just visitation, but a more permanent facility?
When we try to come to a conclusion or a summation about what is going on in Italy, going back from prehistoric times to modern times, the common element is the gods came to this very specific place because of something at Mount Musen, something either in the mountain or something that was placed there by them.
On the bottom of our planet lies the coldest and most isolated continent in the world, Antarctica. The average daily temperature at the South Pole is -56 degrees Fahrenheit, and wind speeds can reach over 100 miles per hour. Today, the only inhabitants of this barren landscape are a few thousand scientists who work in research stations scattered across the continent. But most interesting to ancient astronaut theorists are reports of extraterrestrial activity that is hidden under Antarctica's ice.
Something seems to be going on this mysterious continent at the South Pole. And it has been theorized by a number of people that Antarctica is some kind of alien base.
One of the earliest accounts of extraterrestrial activity in Antarctica can be found in a curious report from the 1930s.
During World War II, the Nazis used U-boats to go down to Antarctica and explore it. Allegedly, they found some of these caverns beneath the ice, and technology which perhaps came from extraterrestrials.
After the Nazis were defeated in 1945, the US military sent an expedition to Antarctica. According to reports, soon after the expedition arrived, they encountered alien craft coming up out of the water.
Antarctica has had a number of interesting UFO types of events since the 1940s that were very well documented.
Is it possible that Antarctica is not only home to an extraterrestrial presence, but is the location of a hidden alien base? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes, and point to shocking disclosures from those on the ground that validate these claims. In February 2019, investigative reporter Linda Moulton Howe interviewed a former Navy flight engineer about his experience on the condition that she not reveal his identity. Her source, who is identified as Brian, provided her with details of a mysterious structure he claims to have seen during his time in Antarctica. According to Brian, sometime around October 1985, he and his team were instructed to fly from McMurdo Station to Davis Camp to pick up an injured scientist, a trip that would take about 6 hours. However, they received strict orders to avoid flying over a so-called air sampling station that was along the most direct route.
So we were given orders to deviate, I believe it was 30-mile deviation away from the air sampling station. The officers on board suggested that we fly straight over the air sampling station and not deviate, and that would save us 30 minutes.
It was a no-fly zone.
It was a no-fly zone for that specific region around the pole.
When the crew flew over the area where the air sampling station was supposed to be, what they observed was something much different.
There was this giant indentation that looked like a hole in the ice that looked like a snow ramp that went down into it. The polar plateau at South Pole is completely flat. There are no holes there. Now there's this big, large hole in the ice that stood out like a sore thumb. It should not have been there.
Is it possible that the strange hole that Brian saw was the entrance to a secret, even extraterrestrial base that is hidden in Antarctica?
When we think about the location of an alien base, our attention should immediately focus on Antarctica. It's the perfect location for an extraterrestrial base if something was coming to and from Earth but wanted a permanent presence here.
According to the ancient astronaut theory, aliens may have come to Earth for many reasons: to excavate, to breed, to conquer, or simply to explore.
Certainly we want to go out and find out about things we don't know about. We see the moon, we want to go up to the moon and find out more things about it. We see Mars, we want to go there. We want to go to Jupiter, we send out our probes. So if aliens are something like us, then perhaps they have that same kind of motivation. They just want to go learn.
Just like we exhibit curiosity, there are other species out there that have the same trait. It would be very egotistical to think that we're the only explorers in this galaxy. I mean, that would be a very sad statement to suggest we're the only ones with a brain and want to go out there and explore.
But while our own journeys into space have been brief and largely exploratory, could other beings traveling millions of miles to Earth have stayed? And if so, might they still be among us?
Many ancient astronaut theorists think this all happened in the past, and the extraterrestrials came here, did this and did that, and then they took off back to their own planet. But there's a lot of evidence to show that extraterrestrials who might have come here in the past, they've never left. They have bases somewhere on the planet, underneath the oceans, inside mountains. In South America, there is very strong beliefs that many UFOs come out of lakes and underwater, and that Lake Titicaca and other lakes in Peru and Bolivia and other areas of South America have some kind of underground, underwater alien base associated with them. If aliens were coming to our planet, there seems little doubt that they would stop at the moon on their way here. The moon itself is kind of the eye in the sky. NASA says that the moon is apparently hollow. During the Apollo missions, the command module crashed into the moon. And the moon rang like a bell for hours. There are craters on the moon which they cannot find bottom to. And it's thought by some researchers that these bottomless craters are entrances inside our moon. The whole enigma of the moon gets weirder and weirder the more you know it. Was the moon actually brought here from another solar system and put into orbit around our planet? Biologists say that life on this planet could never have occurred without our moon. And the reason for that is that the moon creates the tidal effect. And without the effect of tides and this rhythmic motion on the oceans, life would never have begun on this planet. In my mind, the evidence is there that the moon is a gigantic spaceship in orbit around our planet. It's occupied by some extraterrestrial race. In many ways, it's much like the George Lucas Death Star concept in Star Wars, where they're building this artificial moon that's capable, with technology, of actually destroying a planet.
But if alien beings are using the moon as some sort of satellite for Earth observation, why? What would be the purpose? And where is the proof?
They would like to see us evolve. You know, they are great masters, great avatars. They are very high, and so are we. And we need to live up to our potential. We really need to live up to our potential for all people.
And today, we are living still as if we are alone in the universe, while hundreds and thousands of people are seeing unusual craft in the skies as they did 5,000 years ago. And so in a way, the idea that the ancient aliens would finally be coming around full circle all the way into the 21st century is trying to push open a truth that governments have suppressed in the 20th century is really very ironic.
Bugarach, France, 2012. Believing that the end of the Mayan calendar is a prediction of the apocalypse, thousands descend on this mountain village, hoping to be rescued by extraterrestrials.
Bugarach has been known as a holy mountain since time immemorial in this part of France. There is something truly magnetic about this mountain that is bringing people to come and watch it. There is so much UFO activity. There are so many unidentified lights, unidentified objects that are seen around that mountain that people come from all over Europe to observe Bugarach.
All throughout the mountain is a vast labyrinth of limestone caves. These limestone caves have led a number of people to believe that this is actually some kind of alien base, that extraterrestrials are living inside the mountain. And in fact, they've been living there for thousands of years.
So what happened in 2012 is that all sorts of doomsday groups flocked to the area because they felt like it would be the only place that would be safe from the devastation and destruction that would engulf the entire planet. They believed that the aliens were going to come out and protect anybody who was encamped in the area, and that they would be the ones who would start the new world that would come afterwards.
Could extraterrestrials really be living inside a mountain in France, remaining undetected for thousands of years? And if so, might there be other similar mountains secretly housing otherworldly civilizations? Mount Shasta, California. Dominating the landscape at over 14,162 feet, this mountain has inspired strange and incredible stories for thousands of years.
The local Native Americans have always felt there was something special about Mount Shasta. It was thought that humankind actually originated from within Mount Shasta, that there was a great cataclysm, and that the people of planet Earth actually hid within the mountain. When the cataclysm had passed, the people were able to come out of Mount Shasta and repopulate the world.
A book came out in the 1890s proposing the idea that there was a culture that lived within subterranean chambers in Mount Shasta.
Over the years, there have been a number of very significant UFO sightings around Mount Shasta, and you have to wonder, why is that the case? I don't think we can rule out the idea of some sort of permanent presence buried deep within Mount Shasta itself.
Could alien beings really be living on planet Earth, hidden inside mountains? And if so, might they have built advanced civilizations, not only within Mount Shasta, but in mountains across the world?
Great mountains have been objects of fascination and veneration for as long as we have stories. They reach to the heavens. They have hidden crevices and caves. They are also dangerous, so we have the severity issues of life and death. So in every corner of the planet, there have been special and sacred mountains.
Throughout the world, we find myths and legends of sacred mountains that are not only landing places or places where the gods or star beings descended, but also places that became their sanctuary. And humans have been almost magnetically attracted to these places since the beginning of recorded history.
So it's entirely possible that the extraterrestrials set up space bases and mountains all over the world. That way they could watch humanity, help guide us, and if necessary, intervene again in human affairs as they had done in the past. And perhaps this is why we're drawn to mountains. We instinctively know that the extraterrestrial gods are there and always have been.
People love to tell me about their UFO sightings, and it seems like there are more now than ever, which begs the question, is it possible that aliens actually reside right here on Earth? In this countdown, we take a look at locations around the planet that might be hiding secret outposts for otherworldly beings. Number 3, the Dark Pyramid of Alaska.
Alaska, the largest of all U.S. states. It's home to the nation's highest peak, its biggest national park, and more coastline than all other states combined. For ancient astronaut theorists, the dense uninhabited wilderness of Alaska conceals a multitude of mysteries and perhaps an extraterrestrial presence.
Within this area, incredible amount of weird things take place. We have paranormal activity, the appearance of strange cryptids and other monsters of time and space, as well as the manifestation of UFOs and mysterious lights.
Within this region of anomalous activity stands Mount Hayes, one of Alaska's tallest peaks and a place where UFO sightings are reported with great frequency.
Many people have seen UFOs, flying saucers, strange lights flying in and around Mount Hayes. Now, there's no road that can go up there. The only way to get to Mount Hayes is to actually fly there, which most people don't do. So what are these craft that are flying around Mount Hayes?
For decades, eyewitness testimony was the only evidence to support the notion that Mount Hayes was a UFO hotspot. But in 1995, declassified CIA documents revealed that Mount Hayes was the focus of a top-secret government project called Stargate.
Researchers were looking through CIA documents and they found evidence of a project underneath Mount Hayes. And they say they saw written in these records that it was actually an alien underground base in this area.
Could there be a hidden extraterrestrial base in Alaska? While the idea sounds far-fetched, in 1992, U.S. geologists detected a mysterious pyramidal object underneath Mount Denali. Seismic instruments revealed that the top of the 550-foot-tall pyramidal object lies 150 feet below ground and just 130 miles southwest of Mount Hayes. Many researchers believe it is an artificial structure, which has become known as the Dark Pyramid.
The Dark Pyramid is this massive pyramidal structure under Mount Denali, which is said to be twice the size of the Great Pyramid of Giza and made of black stone.
Investigative journalist Linda Moulton Howe has spent years researching the Dark Pyramid and has interviewed a number of people who claim to have information about the mysterious underground structure, including one man who claims his father has actually been inside the Dark Pyramid.
He said that his father was working for Western Electric and ended up as a very skilled electronic engineer being asked to go to a location west of what was Mount Denali. His father told him that there was a big freight elevator that was sticking up out of the ground, and when he got to the bottom, opened up into full-bore room, work, offices. The father is introduced to the fact that they are at the bottom of a pyramid, and that at each of the three corners, they had these offices that were actually monitoring energy. And the father tells the son, who got in touch with me, we are measuring energy coming out of this pyramid that is enough to power the entire country of Canada.
The stories of the Dark Pyramid are pretty interesting, and you've got to wonder if there is not some kind of power plant that's there underground in the middle of Alaska, and if this Dark Pyramid isn't some kind of extraterrestrial base.
Number 2, Mount Shasta.
Northern California. Towering over the landscape at an elevation of more than 14,000 feet stands Mount Shasta. This rugged peak has been the location of strange and incredible stories for thousands of years.
Mount Shasta is where there are multiple strange events taking place. UFO sightings, paranormal events, strange disappearances that go back throughout history, and indeed one can look to certain Native American legends, for example, to say that Mount Shasta has always been associated with strange goings-on.
Local indigenous tribes, such as the Shasta, Wintu, Modoc, and Karuk, have inhabited the area for more than 12 centuries. Each revere Mount Shasta as a place where sky beings landed on the Earth and created civilization.
The local people believe that in ancient times, the great sky chief Skell came down from the sky to live in Shasta and has been there ever since and protects it.
The people who live near Mount Shasta have been encountering UFOs for more than 100 years.
Almost everyone who lives there has seen something unusual. One of the most remarkable UFO sightings I've heard of, it took place in 2008. Witnesses in the town of McLeod saw a UFO that looked like a giant glowing jellyfish move over the town and then fly off into the distance.
I was driving back from Klamath Falls, around 6:37 in the evening in the summertime. All of a sudden, I looked up on the mountain and I seen the whole mountain toward Wairika side open up. And then this big ship came and sat there and hovered for a minute and then went right in. And the next thing you know, the mountain closed and I was like, what is going on? I never let things like that bother me though. But I've seen things like that all the time.
Over the years, there have been a number of very significant UFO sightings around Mount Shasta. And you have to wonder, why is that the case? I don't think we can rule out the idea of some sort of permanent presence buried deep within Mount Shasta itself.
Could alien beings really be living inside Mount Shasta? In November 2020, author and researcher William Henry, along with local historian Dustin Neff, set out to explore Pluto's Cave on the slopes of Mount Shasta.
That is just spectacular.
It is here where numerous eyewitnesses claim to have encountered mysterious beings emerging from inside the mountain.
There's a really big subculture here in Mount Shasta that has always believed that these caves and tunnels contain civilization full of people just like you and I, and they come back and forth through portals hidden in these caves. If you look on the USGS charts, there's an immense negative magnetic anomaly that surrounds Mount Shasta.
That's the ley line they describe here, right?
Yeah, a lot of psychic and paranormal phenomena actually occurs in places that have magnetic anomalies.
And used as a portal between the inner Earth realm and the stars.
Yeah, anything capable of generating, energy like that could be conceptualized as a portal. I've had people actually contact me and tell me they've seen people in this very cave walk right into a wall and vanish.
Wow.
For many hundreds of years, Mount Shasta has been known for entities that manifest out of the mountain. They appear, they travel, and then they disappear. And this would seem to have led to the belief that there might be some kind of secret alien base actually deep within that mountain.
Number 1, the moon.
November 20th, 1969. Apollo 12 astronauts Pete Conrad and Alan Bean make history by becoming the third and fourth person to land on the moon. After they return to the command module, they detach the lunar module and crash it into the moon's surface. Upon impact, something very unexpected happens. The moon reverberates for more than an hour.
With Apollo 12, people refer to a crash. It wasn't really a crash. It was a aimed deorbit of the rocket used to lift off the lunar module. And the crew separated the launch vehicle and crashed it back into the ground right close to where they had a seismograph that they had installed down there. Well, it vibrated, so it was kind of an early clue as to how solid was the surface of the moon.
What was amazing about this is that suddenly the moon began to ring like a bell and did so for nearly an hour. Dr. Wernher von Braun, who was then the head of NASA, decided that for Apollo 13, they were going to intentionally crash a heavier portion of the rocket into the lunar surface. And when they did this, the moon rang like a gong this time for over 3 hours into a depth of over 20 miles.
This was not expected, and it still puzzles a lot of scientists today. The inference is that the moon must be hollow because the moon is made predominantly on the surface of a kind of rock called basalt. Although it's a very lightweight rock, it also absorbs impact extremely well. And so if the whole of the moon was made of that kind of rock, you wouldn't expect it to reverberate when a large impact took place. The reason that this is played down is because the idea of the moon being hollow just contradicts what we know about physics.
In his 1966 book, Intelligent Life in the Universe, renowned scientist and astronomer Carl Sagan defined modern scholarship regarding the composition of celestial bodies throughout the cosmos.
Carl Sagan suggested that a natural satellite cannot be a hollow object. This is very odd, because why would the moon be vibrating unless it's a hollow object? That would suggest it's artificial.
Is it possible the moon is not only hollow, but an artificial structure? Ancient astronaut theorists say yes.
It would seem to be that our moon is some kind of gigantic artificial spaceship that is here to monitor our planet, and it only makes sense that if extraterrestrials are coming to the Earth, that they would be using the moon as a kind of forward base for our planet. It's perfect for observing and coming to and from planet Earth and going to other planets or solar systems.